Good morning, App Properties. It's Friday, May 22nd. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amy Corr, and I'm joined by Kevin Van Eck, who's live from downtown. Grab your coffee, and before we kick off this holiday weekend, let's jump into another episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin. Morning, Kevin.
Hey, good morning, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Hope you have your coffee set. Today, we're going to be zooming north across the border into Wisconsin to have a conversation with one of our brokers who's mentoring his team, growing his business, creating experiences for his clients. And so we're going to hear more about how he's crafted his business and continued to grow over the past 19 years.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. We are super excited to have Jake Hansen with us this morning, who's one of our brokers out of the Lake Geneva office. His business spans from Kenosha to Milwaukee, all the way to Walworth County. And when Jake isn't busy helping clients buy or sell, he is also a firefighter and a volunteer SWAT team member. So welcome, Jake. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about real estate, but I wish that we could talk a little bit about, what goes on with this voluntary SWAT team membership. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah,
but we'll go into real estate.
Okay.
All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit with you, Jake, just about your processes and your experience, and really you focusing on client experiences, because that's what we've focused on this week with Do It Now. So the first thing that I'd love for you to kick off and just tell us a little bit more about is really your business, and I know that you've got a team. So if you can tell me a little bit about you, how you got kind of into this business, and what your team looks like.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. So there's 5 members on my team, and I make up the 6th member. And my wife, Savannah, is sort of the team leader, or we share that title. She helps us navigate the DMS and all of our CRMs. And what we do is we try to give as much information to Savannah as possible so she can help us process all of our transactions. And then that frees up time for all of the team members to be out, interacting with their clients, having coffee, popping in, just saying hi, because I think that, and like we talked about, relationship building in this business is truly the most important thing. So sitting in the office and working on paperwork all day long maybe is not the best thing to do if you want to continue to grow your business. So that's just part of what we're doing to encourage the team members to get out there and grow and build their business.
That's great. So how did you get into real estate? How did you choose this as a career?
Well, a long, long time ago, I was, my father was exiting the military and looking for a new career choice because he was still pretty young. And purchasing investment properties was a priority for him. So, and I was hanging out with him, I was very young, and he purchased a number of rental properties, and the broker that he was using to buy properties encouraged him to get his license. And while he was getting his license, he said, why don't you just join me? And so I joined him. And then before you knew it, I was buying rental properties and renovating properties, and we stuck together and renovated a number of properties. And then that just grew into helping other people and other friends. And here we are today.
That's amazing. Here you are 19 years later, right? Still going strong. So this week has been about service, really talking about creating a great client experience, for both your buyers and sellers. So I wanted you to share a little bit about your process. Like, what do you do, or what do you feel like you do that, makes it important or special, when you're looking at a process and sitting down with a client?
So I think the most important thing to do is to listen to the client and what their goals are. So one thing that I do when I first meet someone for our official first meeting to discuss whether it's their purchase or their sale is I just go in without any paperwork, and I just ask them what their goals are. And I want to try to get them to explain to me what it is that's most important in the process. So if, for example, a client is looking to sell their condo, and they, have sold real estate in the past, and they had maybe a less than perfect experience because of specific reasons, I want them to identify those reasons, because now I have the secret recipe on how to make them happy, because everyone's a little bit different. And if the client tells you, or the customer at the time tells you, hey, listen, open houses are super important to me, or I don't want open houses because it's just not what I'm into. Now they've told you exactly what's going to make this deal perfect. So remember that, take notes, and that's what I'm doing to try to make sure that each individual client gets those specific needs taken care of.
And I think it's also, you were mentioning a little bit earlier about really making sure that you're relatable to the client, right? When you first decide to sit down and meet with them, and you try to get a little bit more information. So, kind of share your example that you had a little bit earlier about the farmer that you met with.
Yep. So in my area, we have, a variety of different people and different walks of life. And what I try to do is relate with the customer to make sure that they feel as comfortable as possible. So one thing I like to do is meet them at their home, and prior to what's going on right now in the world, it was very easy to just stop by someone's house and meet with them. But who doesn't feel comfortable in their own home, right? So if I can meet with them in their house and I can sort of act like them, dress like them, be on their same level, I think that it really helps out. So for example, recently a very close friend of mine purchased some farmland, and his daily routine is blue jeans and a flannel, and he's just a farmer. So if I were to walk into his barn and sit down with him for a meeting and have a suit on, it would have been a different experience. So I picked up a case of Coors Light, we went over there, and I had dirty jeans on just like him, and we sat in lawn chairs in the barn, and we hung out and we just talked about like what his vision was. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to grow my farm and I want to buy more land. And, it was a great meeting. We hung out, and after that, I was able to put together a plan. So
that's really cool. And I love the part that you've been talking about listening, because that's something that all of us can do more of, right? And that's something that really brings the client closer to us when we understand what they're doing, because we know, Jake, you've seen it, Amy, we know that a lot of us, we go into meetings where we push our own agenda and don't actually understand what the problem is. We're trying to solve something without understanding the problem. So I love that. What do you think? You've maybe touched on it already, but what do you think is the number one reason that people continue to work with you and refer you to their, friends, family, neighbors? What is that number one thing?
I think that probably just, I tell this to people, but I truly believe it is, I really love my business, right? So it's not hard for me to work with a client and have a good experience. The majority of my business is referral business, first of all. So if someone's calling me, we have some sort of, prior relationship, or maybe they're a friend of a friend, or whatever the case might be. But, I think they can tell that I'm really passionate about my business, and I love doing what I do. It's a lot of fun. It really is. I believe that. So it's very natural. So when I'm, with someone who's my customer or client, I just be myself, and I make them understand that, we're going to get through this together. And I don't know, it just seems to work. So.
And, when we were talking a little bit earlier, you talked about some of the cool client experiences that you are creating. And I think that those are some of the reasons why people come back to you too. So share some of those. We talked about the pig roast and a couple of those things. So share what are some of the cool things you guys do throughout the years to really keep your clients and your sphere engaged?
Sure, no problem. So after the deal is done, a fun way to keep in contact with all my clients is we do a couple of different things throughout the year. In the beginning of the year, we send out Valentine's Day cards just to let people know that we're still thinking about them. And, it's just kind of a unique way. I've actually had a lot of clients reach out telling me that it was that I sent them a Valentine. They haven't received a Valentine in years. So that's one thing we do. And then in the spring, late summer, we do a pig roast. So we invite all of our past clients to come to our house. We have a big barn in our backyard, and we have a catered in pig roast, and it's sort of a potluck. So there's a lot of people that show up, and it's a really cool family oriented type party. And, we just hang out, and a lot of people become friends that maybe never were friends before. So it's a really good way to hang out. And then in the fall, or actually, I missed one. During Earth Day, we like to deliver spruce trees to our clients. So My kids are standing behind me. So we like to deliver spruce trees to our clients and on Earth Day, which is really cool because it's an opportunity for us to just pop by. It's usually unexpected. And I just stop by and say, hey, I just brought you some trees. We got them from the county and you can plant these and watch them grow. And I think people really appreciate that. It's not expensive and it's just a thoughtful thing to do. And then the last thing we do is we have an open house, sort of a pie party for the holiday season. So we send out invites. You get to pick which type of pie you want. And then there's a specific time where you stop by and it's just a social event. So you just pop over, hey, how's it going? What's going on with the holidays? And then you pick up the pie that you ordered and you leave. And, it's just another way to keep that relationship building, over time. Because I think people look forward to those events. So.
Yeah, I love that. And I just think it's so important. You have some really cool things that I think you do that are really unique to you and your business and the relationships that, you're trying to build with your clients beyond the transaction. So I wanted to ask you this, because a number of our brokers work in markets similar to you where they don't specifically have brick and mortar, down the street from, where they live, and they don't necessarily have number one market share. Sometimes they even say that people don't know who At Properties is. So I know that you're kind of really growing your business alongside growing the brand of At Properties, kind of specifically where you're at in Wisconsin. How are you able to capture business, even if At isn't a household name? What's sort of your thought or focus on that as you go into business every day?
Marketing and advertising is super important in any business, right? So the fact that At Properties has the awesome real estate books that we can hand out at our listings, that helps. The signs, the new signs are really awesome. So I think that is grabbing a lot of people's attention. And then we specifically, my team, we are doing a lot of marketing and making sure that it's better than everyone else's marketing. I mean, I care so much about my business and I want to make sure that everyone knows it, that we're doing videos that are just unlike anyone else's. And, it's getting out there. People are sharing those videos. People are talking about it. And oftentimes I have people call me to just ask me about what At Properties is, because we don't have an office in Kenosha, but I'm pushing it as much as I can, just my business. And I think that word is finally getting out there. So.
Yeah, that's great. One of the things you'd mentioned earlier is that, with you're focused. We can already see this. You're focused on relationships, and whether it's through the client appreciation parties or it's the different ways that you interact and actually listen and meet with and talk with your people. I think that's really what drives it, right? And then it's At Properties marketing that comes in and helps support it to show that, and differentiate you, besides the fact that you're differentiating yourself through actually having a relationship as opposed to being transactional. So I love that. So let's think about this for over the next, let's say over the last 60 days. Is there anything you've thought about or any plans that you have that you want to implement in the coming year? Something new, something you want to change, anything you've learned?
Yeah, I think that going forward, I want to try to spend a lot of time with my team and help them build their business and grow. And I really enjoy teaching. So there's a lot of things that I've experienced over the years. And I want to share those experiences with my team members so that they can grow. And it's a lot of fun to make sure that, we get through a transaction as smooth as possible, right? And I think that can be accomplished with good planning and strategy and tactics. That these are all things that I talk about with my clients, and I'm sharing that now with my team members. And I think that it's working because they're doing really well and their transactions are very smooth. There's fewer and fewer problems as we go forward. So that's something that's a goal of mine moving forward. And then just continuing to work on our videos and making sure that, the real estate advertising is like cutting edge. Like that's, I feel like that's right in line with how At Properties is, right? So they're doing things that no one else is doing. And I want to make sure that my team is representing that in the same fashion.
Yeah, so, it's interesting because I do think over the last 60 days, video has become just a whole new phenomenon for all of us, right? Whether we're on video or, just using video kind of in a whole new way. So I wanted to kind of wrap up with this question, and we ask a lot of brokers who are on, but, for all those brokers out there, whether they're brand new to the business or have been doing this for a while, what's the number one thing that you would really suggest to them? You know, you've been in the business for 19 years. If there's one thing you could say, this is what I would focus on, or this is what I would do, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that remember that from the client's perspective, that this is the deal, the one deal that they're working on, right? They don't have a whole number of deals on their plate. This is it. They're working with you directly. So if you can give them a little bit more attention than you normally would, and you can make them understand that they're just as important as the most expensive listing that you have, they're going to appreciate that, right? This is potentially the largest purchase or sale in their entire life, and they need to understand that you care about that. You know, like that's a factor that's important in their life. So if you just treat every client as just a deal, it's just not going to be the same feeling. So when you call your client, you know, express some emotion and make them understand that they're important, you know? So that's the one thing that I would tell everyone, just to make sure that the client understands that you care about their deal.
I think that's a great way to wrap up. Really, the focus has been, you know, as you've talked about your team and the way you've grown your business has been through relationships and really that personal service, personal attention that you're giving to people. So I love that. So thank you for joining us today, Jake. For everyone watching, hopefully that was helpful. If you do have a referral or something for the Kenosha area, you know who to call now. And feel free to look up his listing videos. There's one where he arrives in a helicopter. So check that out. But for this weekend, it's a holiday weekend. We're going to see you again on Tuesday with Do It Now. And next week, we're going to be focusing on wrapping up our 4-week plan in terms of how we can continue to stay in touch post-transaction with our clients. So thanks again, Jake. Really great info. Really good talking with you today.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. We appreciate it. You guys have a great holiday weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next week.